Today we'll be taking a look at Super Castlevania IV, a game that is commonly cited by critics as one of the best games of all time, and also the first Castlevania title released for Nintendo's SNES system. Super Castlevania IV, as well as other Castlevania games released for the SNES and earlier NES, received numerous censorship changes when released outside of Japan. This video we'll be taking a look at these changes and how Super Castlevania IV was censored outside of Japan. The first change made to the game can be spotted right when booting up the game on the title screen. It is only in the Japanese version on the left where you'll be able to see a puddle of blood at the bottom of the screen and blood dripping from above. When the screen then finishes panning up, you'll see that this blood is coming from the game's logo and that the English version on the right was completely redesigned. The next screen, the game's intro, also faced changes overseas, and this sets the scene for a lot of the other changes that were made to the game. If you notice, you can see a cross at the top of the grave as well as on the other graves in the background. These crosses were removed due to Nintendo of America's strict policy at the time against showing religious themes in games, due to not wanting to offend Western audiences. With the exception of a single instance, all crosses in the game were removed outside of Japan. Also, rather interestingly, if you look closely, you'll be able to see that the English version removed the English text displayed on the grave. The text is supposed to say Dracula, but instead the L has been replaced with an R. This is due to the Japanese language not having the L sound in their language, and that it can be hard for them to distinguish between the L and R sounds. And so this type of mistake is extremely commonly made in Japanese media as well as in real life. Another cross was removed from the top of the password screen, and also if you look just above the cross, you'll see that a religious figure was removed as well. A few more examples of removed crosses include the crosses in the background of the stables section of the first level. The coffin enemies that can be found in various levels were also redesigned so that the cross across the front of the casket was removed. And then the graveyard section of the second level had all crosses on the graves removed as well. These are only just a few examples though, as remember, all crosses were removed outside of Japan with the exception of only a single instance. This exception is the rosary special item, which when used destroys all enemies on screen. It's not known why this was for some reason missed when all other crosses were removed. Moving away from the religious changes though, and on to some more changes to blood. In the Japanese version on the left, you'll be able to not only see that the pits of liquid are red blood, but that there is also red blood on the spikes coming from the ceiling as well. In the English version on the right, all blood has been changed to green throughout the entire dungeon level. That's about it for the extent of red blood in the Japanese version of the game though, with it being kept quite tame even in the Japanese version. That's not all, however, for the changes to the Western version of the game. Alongside blood and religious references, some slight artistic nudity was altered as well. A nude statue in level 6 was made to cover up outside of Japan due to Nintendo feeling that this was too inappropriate for younger audiences. Strangely, the Medusa boss battle was not altered in the West. Here, Medusa is depicted completely topless, and Medusa has actually been censored various times in other games in this series due to this very reason. In the previous game, Castlevania III for example, Medusa had her chest size noticeably toned down outside of Japan, so it's not known why this element was left intact in the English version. That's all for Super Castlevania IV though, but as mentioned, this was far from the only game in the series to get changes outside of Japan. And regional differences like this are something that you are interested in or want to see more of, then please consider leaving a comment below and hitting that subscribe button, and until next time, thank you for watching.